because I do 1,300 crunches and sit-ups 4 times a week.
What's a dose? Can you translate for us?
Winner of the gold medal and the champion golfer of the year is Ernie Els.
Well, good evening, everybody. Welcome back to the Go Track, the podcast about golf and golf-adjacent stuff. Thrilled to be joined by 3 very dashing fellows this evening. First of all, JDV, good evening. Nice to see you across from my screen once again.
How's it, T? Yeah, good to be back tackling a bunch of 9-holers I've never heard of.
I must have... I've missed looking at those sexy earphones of yours, and I'm thrilled to be joined once again by Mr. Swan, who was infamous on our top 100 pod last year, the famous 2.5-hour pod. Swanee, nice to have you back, bugger.
Yeah, thanks, T. Good to see you guys again. I would have been back a few more times, but every time Jacques invites me, you guys do it literally on month end, so it's never really ideal. You've chosen the middle of the month now, which is quite lekker, and so I'm looking forward to it.
And very nice to have a first-time guest on the pod, Ryan. Nice to have you this evening. We are salivating at your knowledge of 9-hole golf courses in South Africa.
Yeah, well, thanks, Steve. Thanks for having me. Can't wait to share what I've got. Let's see how we go.
I think also just to mention 2 hours of the top 100 podcast was Swanee telling us that story about his mate who forgot his toothbrush, and that's why he didn't make the cut. So yeah, let's see if Swanee.
I forgot my own toothbrush, man.
So I don't know if it's going to be a meandering story of you when you caddied at Moinoi, I think you mentioned, but I'm looking forward to another one of those stories.
That podcast made its way all the way to him. He actually phoned me. He's like, yo, you brought some incredible memories back. I had a good laugh around it.
JDV, I'm going to throw it over to you to introduce the topic for this evening, since this was your idea. What are we talking about tonight?
So T, yeah, I think this goes back to Golf Digest and the work of Stuart McLean and partners, I imagine, who put together these golf course rankings. Last year around this time, I think we did the top 100, which came out, and now they have given us the top 40 9-holers in South Africa. There is like an up and down ranking, so I imagine this is not the first iteration of SA's 9-holers, although it's the first iteration that's caught my attention. So yeah, the idea tonight is just to go through these. I did mention at the top of the show, it's a tough scene for how many of these courses I've played. I was quite proud of myself in terms of how many of the top 100 courses I've played, but that's not the case here for the 9-holers. It's dire. I think I counted 6, and Swanee reminded me that I'd actually played one with him. So I got myself to 7 out of 40, which isn't good, but that did a bit of cramming for this episode, trying to have a look at the courses sort of allocated to me, and I feel like I might do enough to get a P or at the very worst a supplementary exam for this one.
So once again, we basically, throwing some shade on our ability to bring everyone top-class golf content. Jacques already calling for a provisional ball on his knowledge of the courses. But yeah, listen, JDV, since it was your idea, we sort of had an offline chat, and between myself, you and Swan, I think we had about seven of the 40 courses covered. And then we rapidly called for backup, and luckily Ryan has been able to jump on with us as well, who we told has played at least 10 of them. And so
I just
hopefully,
did a quick count. I've got 17.
Oh,
Jeepers. Okay.
Jeepers.
Glorious.
Jeepers. 9-hole specialist.
Well,
So I'm going to
of
visit
me.
rural South Africa.
over to you, Ryan, and we're gonna listen in. No, that's actually bloody impressive because let me tell you, when you go through the list of these courses, they are spread far and wide across this country. I was actually going to throw it out there, guys, and say that I reckon if you could tick off all 40 of these courses, I reckon that's almost more impressive than playing the top 100 in South Africa, just because of where some of these courses are located. I mean, Swanee, we spoke about how Sishen, we thought Sishen was out there in the middle of nowhere. My goodness, when you go onto Google Earth and you look at where some of these courses are, that makes Sishen look pretty much like it's in your backyard. So I'd actually love to take on that challenge of playing all of these 40 courses. I reckon there'd be some pretty interesting stories and characters that you would run into. But okay,
top 49-hole golf tour.
I think you need to take a year of work.
Yeah, well, no, you don't have to take a year. You just try and do it within a year. Come on, Jacques, let's set the challenge. You play about 120 rounds a year. I'm sure you can fit in another 40.
Yeah, I don't put in 9-hole scores though.
Yeah, neither do I. That's why I'm surprised I'm on this pod.
All right, so guys, we are going to try and share a little bit of photos and videos and that while we're talking through these courses. So we are going to upload this episode onto YouTube as well. So if you are listening to this episode and you hear us looking at pictures and that, then maybe flick over to the YouTube version. Do give us some leeway, because this is probably the first time we ever have attempted sharing anything on the pod. And as you know, between myself and JDV, the tech knowledge is not super high. But JDV, we're just going to basically run through from 40 all the way down to number 1. So I've put my hand up to take sort of the first 15 courses. Guys, if you don't know what we're talking about, then that's great, because then you can just kind of listen along. But essentially, as JDV said, there was an article that was written. JDV, is it the Golf Digest?
Yeah, Golf Digest.
Golf Digest South Africa. So can you guys see this window that I'm sharing?
Yeah, boo.
Okay.
Yep.
Is that with Kambaku on the front?
That's the one.
Okay, sorry. There we go.
Yeah, spot on, brother.
Okay, so guys, let's just jump right into it. I'm going to start at number 40. So at just squeaking into the top 40 here, we have what we would refer to as a local course in KZN. That is the amphitheater course, which is basically a part of the Shlallanati resort up in the Berg. I don't know. I mean, maybe because these courses are in KZN, for any course that's in KZN, maybe we can just throw it around to see if you guys have played any of these. JDV, you said you haven't played this one. What about yourself, Swanee and Ryan?
My bet's Ryan's played it.
No, to be fair, it's the first time I heard about it reading this article. So I have not played it.
I was in the same place as you, Ryan. I was like, I didn't know there was a golf course there or a 9-holer. I know that Oaks are battling to get signal in the amphitheater, let alone playing 9 holes of golf. So yeah, this is news to me, and I live in KZN.
Sure.
So JDV, this is a disappointing one for me that I haven't played, because I must say I've actually driven past this place, at least 5 or 6 times, along that road going up to some of the other resorts that are down that road, and I have always looked at it and I've always thought, looks like sort of semi-interesting place to go play. But yeah, I mean, looks like it's a pretty decent piece of land. Nice big, kind of a bit like Cathedral Peak, actually. Big river that runs along the bottom of it, and some nice big elevation changes. And essentially, you're in the berg. I mean, you're in the mountains. So yeah, I mean, definitely one I think that we got to put on our local shortlist. I mean, it doesn't sound like anyone else has played there. I do think these berg courses, particularly in winter, I think are an interesting kind of proposition. I did find this photo here from winter, which it looks kind of sick. Looks like it can get nice and hard there. But the greens still look, I mean, not a close up here, but it looks fairly decent.
So I think
this picture alone makes me want to go play.
Maybe just explain the image for those on the podcast. It's basically looking down a fairway, I suppose. You can see the amphitheater in the background, looking pretty brown and white almost. Look, that green looks fast, although, yeah, that does look like quite a bare sandy patch there at the bottom. So I think that.
What's the date of this image here, T?
This will be. Listen, I don't have all my references written down, Swanee. Just forgive me, please, man. But
speak more from you.
Recent. Yeah, I'm going to say it was the 17th of July last year, Swanee.
Fair enough. No, then I'm also tempted, T. I'm also tempted to go play. Maybe this should be our first one that we hit.
I think, Swan and Jacques, you guys were talking about golf tour of the 9-holers, but I think a lot of these work well with other top championship courses around. I mean, that's not that far from Champagne, I guess. And I think it's the case with a lot of these 9-holers. They've got good courses around them as well.
Well, I think that's a one. I mean, we'll talk about Malalan. We try and Google images of Malalan Golf Club, and you think you're going to go play Leopard Creek, which is obviously not the case. But yeah, I agree. I mean, we did do a tour. Swan 2014, where we managed to get to play Leopard Creek, and we threw in 9 holes at Malalan, and that was one of my 7. Spoiler alert. But, there's also that one that you mentioned at Arabella. So I think that is a theme going through here where, if you want to tack on a little 9-holer to a golf course, I mean, Swan, we played, Sedge Links when we went on our Knysna golf tour as a sort of opener, just a sort of a 9-hole mashy course. So I think I completely agree with you, Ryan. I think, we sort of talk tongue in cheek about making an actual golf course of 9-holers. But I think if you are going on a golf tour, other than like Springbok and those ones, I think you could probably tack on some of these 9-holers to that tour.
Yeah, it's a nice way to start a golf tour. If you get there early in the morning, you play a 9-holer maybe on the first afternoon, but like you guys did, or maybe you squeeze it in. You play 18 in the morning somewhere, and then you squeeze in 9 holes, sort of a fun round in the afternoon. I think that's a good call, Jacques.
Yeah, if you can remember most of the holes that you play in those 9 holes in the preamble to tour when you're super excited, it's quite lekker. Even Malala and Jacques, I mean, you and I came off, and I'm going to be digressing now, but we came off a lekker little win there at Leopard Creek against Jubes and Woody. So there was a lot of celebration, I think, when we got around to playing Malalan.
But
guys,
take us back.
I'm going to keep the ship moving here. We've only done one course. Guys, I'm not going to stop at every single golf course, but I have to take you guys to number 39, Pilgrim's Rest. First of all, anyone played this course? Ryan, I'm basically asking you if you've played it.
No, you can ask me again when you get to 2060.
Okay, you're like a number hunter. Hey? You just go for the top courses. Guys, okay, this little golf course here, as you guys know, Pilgrim's Rest, sort of famous for its sort of history in the gold rush of the late 1800s. And there's no clear date as to when this golf course was actually founded, but they say it was either in the late 1800s or the early 1900s. So it's got some serious pedigree. It looks pretty beautiful. It's kind of just tucked away in this kind of little valley. You read online, by all accounts, it seems like a very pleasant enough golf course. There were two things that I wanted to share about the course in particular, which really jumped out at me when I looked at it. The first was they seem to have a very chilled out policy when it comes to actually playing the course. So I went onto their Facebook page, and I found this message here, essentially somebody asking, hey, how do I book a round for the 29th of December? And the reply was, you're welcome to play, no booking needed. The next message saying, no need to book, just pitch up and play. So, it doesn't seem like they've got a very strict rules when it comes to their tee sheet. Not clear whether they even have a pro shop there or not, but they're clearly very, very welcoming of visitors. And then, guys, I had to share this photo here. This is the clubhouse. They reckon this building is over 100 years old, and it's kind of classic sort of the architecture that I guess you would see when you go to like the Pilgrim's Rest town. It's got that great sort of historical look to it. And I think what
leopard print golf cart.
Yeah, exactly. But what I really like is the picture from the inside of the pub. This takes you back 100 years sort of straight away. It's got sort of whiffs of Royal Durban. I could see you sinking a few pints in here. JDV, what do you reckon?
I thought that was Royal Durban for a second. It's definitely the same chairs.
Are those trophies there on the right with all the different plaques? They've built that thing up over many years.
Yeah. So just to
those things on the right there.
Again, just to explain what we're looking at, this is very sort of old dark wood, some red velvety curtains, and then those sort of leather wraparound chairs that you get with a couple of small tables pushed together, quite ornate, and then lots of there's a couple. I think that's a Hardy Dar in a frame there above the bar. It's some would call it dingy, others would call it cultured.
Quite ornate, sort of wallpaper, sort of the half wall wallpaper, and then the lace curtains, which is always a strong look or theme in these sort of. These chairs are sort of a 10 out of 10 for me. I personally love these wraparound leather chairs.
You can imagine Mr. Darcy and Pride and Prejudice having a beer.
Yeah, those are two big trophies about to be handed out to the inaugural winners of the Pilgrim's Rest Open. Okay, guys, moving on. So Pilgrim's Rest does definitely look like a place that I'm going to put on my list for sure. And I promise you guys, I'm not going to stop at every course, but I had to go to number 38, Black Mountain. And I think for me, this is the biggest, most surprising golf course of all the ones that I looked at in the top 40. Well, I didn't look at every course in the top 40, but so just allow me to take you on a bit of an adventure here. And again, for those listening, just guys, I would encourage you to go and look at this on our YouTube channel because it might be more interesting. But basically, I'm sharing kind of the Google Earth location of these. But guys, Black Mountain Golf Course. So just to zoom us out here, we are heading deep into the Northern Cape here, just below the Namibian border. For those people listening. Not that far from a very well-known place called Pofadder. just literally a couple of kilometers down the road. And guys, look at this little oasis in the desert here, known as the Black Mountain Golf Club. The course is, as you can imagine, is linked to the local activity relating to the Black Mountain mine, as a lot of these courses in sort of far off places are. It's truly a desert golf course, but it is perfectly green. And from what I understand, the course is watered using the local attenuation ponds that they use for the water that comes from the mine and obviously goes through to the town. And there's some real whiffs of Dubai here, Swan, because all of these trees that you see along the edge here, these are all palm trees. And my goodness, they have certainly not left any gaps for too many other palms there. It is properly palm lined.
Pretty cool, eh?
But how's this place, guys? I mean, is this not a little mind
It's
blowing?
amazing.
It reminds me a little
Isn't
bit
there
of
Black Mountain in the States?
yeah.
Like a top course or something?
There is.
Yeah.
There is. 100%.
But T, it reminds me of Umhlali. What's that hole at Umhlali with all the palm trees down the side? I mean, that looks pretty similar. But
Every
then
single hole.
just take me up, T. Just take me up north there. What was that one hole? It looks like there's two fairways. One like shares the same fairway, and then you play straight to one hole and a dog leg left to the other, which is quite sick. Or do my eyes deceive me?
No, you're
there.
spot on. JDV, I got to be honest, I didn't do
Why?
a hole by hole analysis here, but it does look like you've got multiple options here. This could be a sort of choose your own adventure situation. Not 100% sure, but listen, it looks like when you're walking between holes, there's a good chance you might get bitten by a puff adder. But between the holes, but once you're on the actual holes, it's very, very green. Sorry, Ryan, I jumped over you there.
No worries. A lot of these 9-holers have got the split tees, that go to the same green, but they play two completely different holes when you're on the tee. It looks like one of those.
Yeah.
Yo, that looks awesome. Though. I mean, seriously, that looks
I think
like
Moinoi
a
does the
proper.
same. Also, yeah, I don't know if the word's awesome, but yeah, it looks pretty.
It inspires awe.
This
Jacques.
this must be
In
one
the
of
picture
the,
before this grabbed me a bit more.
There's a lot of oil green courses in the Karoo, so this must be one of the few 9-holers that have actually got grass greens.
Yeah,
Must do
100%.
a lot of work there to maintain that.
I think, from what I understand, this is a pretty well, as mines go, it's a pretty wealthy mine with quite a strong contingent of workers there, and obviously this is kind of probably the primary sort of pastime, and they clearly don't have any issues with water. But yeah, when I saw this, when I saw the images of this, I wouldn't, if you showed me that in isolation, I wouldn't have said that was in South Africa. So it was a nice surprise that. So go check it out, Black Mountain Golf Club. Right, gents, let's keep moving. At number 37 is Still By down in the Southern Cape. It looks like it has a very nice location, very nice sort of outlook over the sea, over apparently very nice clubhouse. There doesn't seem to be anything else that's sort of like kind of remarkable about it. Haven't played there. At 36, we have Vredendal, also in the Western Cape. This is also out a little bit in the sort of Namaqualand, sort of in a sort of bit of an arid region, just off the Olifant River, I think it is. Also quite a barren sort of setup, but where they have obviously access to a lot of water. So it's got that stark contrast of being in the desert, but it's got very green fairways and greens. I don't know if any of you guys have been out to Vredendal before, but that was a new one for me. Next up, 35 is the Warmer Golf Club. So, guys, this Warmer, this is actually quite a interesting one. It's actually one of the few that's actually in like almost the middle of, I think, almost in this whole top 40. It's one of the few that's actually in the middle of like one of the big cities in South Africa. So,
sorry, T. Isn't Thingy a member there? What's his name again? Who came on tour with us?
I thought Fuad was. I think he's Vredendal adjacent. So I think he might well have played a lot at Vredendal. I think he's from there as well.
No, we're at Valma now.
Oh, I thought I was talking about Vredendal. Walmer.
No, yeah.
PE. Who are you talking about?
When he went and he played.
Weeman.
Yeah. Yes, he's a member there. Yeah.
Okay.
Weeman, I'm sure. I remember when I checked his handicap for that tour. But a cool looking course. I've never played there, but I've been past it. It looks pretty cool.
So from what I understand, this golf course, and I did get some inside info from one of my local Eastern Cape fellows who lives just down the road. From what I understand, this is known in PE as Little Warmer. There used to be a big Warmer, which was an 18-hole golf course, which was essentially, I think, this piece of land over here. So again, people who are listening to the podcast, essentially just looking at kind of a map of PE. But from what I understand, this golf course has been lying sort of derelict for the last couple of years, and it looks like it's no longer going to continue to be a golf course. And all the members have essentially moved over to this little 9-hole track. Kind of right in the middle of Warmer is basically it's probably the kind of upmarket suburb in the bay of Rebecca, and kind of runs along this. There's this big sort of deep kind of valley which kind of cuts through the edge of Warmer, and then across sort of from that valley is the PE Golf Club, which is one of the oldest golf clubs in South Africa as well. Certainly been in this. The first golf club in PE, and then just down the road you got St. George's Park, Grey High School, and all of that sort of stuff. So it's from all accounts, from my source, it's a great little fun 9-holer. Lots of sort of family vibes, bit of a country club vibe now with paddle courts and all the sort of accessories that go with these types of country clubs in kind of the cities. And yeah, by all accounts, a very interesting place. JDV, I just did want to point out one particularly interesting feature here is they have this big war memorial obelisk, which I want to say, did I say that word right?
Obelisk.
Felt like I butchered that. Obelisk. I said obelix. Obelix and asterisks. Yeah, obelix. Obelisk. Obelisk in the middle of the fairway. Yeah, there it is. Bang it is right there. Sort of if you leave your approach or you lay up to this hole. I'm not sure. It looks like a par 4. But it's almost a bit like the rock that we deal with on the third hole at Cathedral Peak, JDV. I'm sure there's stories of guys getting sort of very unfavorable bounces off this war memorial, but I love these little quaint features that some of these courses have. So that was worth a shout out.
Did you Google whether you get a free drop there or not?
Yeah, it's a good question.
No, it's completely in play. Hey? It's part of the course, from what I understand.
I wanted to make a take. I mean, do you think they should be incorporating more war memorials as hazards in golf courses?
Well,
But I mean, Jacques, when we went down, we played at Plett. I mean, they've got those two trees on that par three where they put what you rightfully said in the top 100 pod, where that we hit off an AstroTurf in the back. You know, remember that you were mentioning it, and we questioned you on that, but you were 100% correct. In the middle of the trees, and then they've got those two dead trees in the middle of the fairway that if you hit a good shot, you just kind of stuck behind them. But apparently the birders and the tree huggers don't want to move.
No, but I'm thinking more at Plett. You hit it in a graveyard there. So I mean, again, more memorial stuff. And I'm thinking even Champagne Sports. You know, you've got that World War I memorial that they just need to push the first tee back all the way past there and get you teeing off over the sort of Moth Memorial. So yeah, I don't know if it's maybe the way if it's disrespectful on the one hand, but maybe more respectful because you have to pay attention to that war memorial. I mean, you've got to make sure you don't hit it.
Yeah, bring more excitement to South African golf courses by pushing them into the graveyards.
100%.
Well, JDV, I don't know if I'm sure you did. You read that write-up that Matt Boots did for us on the GoTrack website about the courses that he's played on Jersey Island. Yeah. But he spoke about one specific course there that he played where he played between two like bunkers. The one was like formerly a German bunker, like when I say bunker, not like a golf bunker, like an actual bunker that I sort of hid in during World War II, but like an actual war bunker. And this hole like snaked its way between two of these sort of war bunkers, which are now very much kind of part of the course. So, I mean, it would be a cool little thing to put together, like the 18 holes of like war memorials across the world, maybe. Maybe that's a task for another podcast, but I did think this was a nice little wrinkle for a little warmer. Right, guys, moving swiftly along, and I promise you things are going to move a lot quicker now. We got a little caught up there in between 35 to 40. There were just some good stories there. So we got at 34, we got Sandy Lane. I got to be honest, never heard of Sandy Lane, but this is on Hartie's Dam, Hartbeespoort Dam. Basically, from what I understand, directly across the dam from Peakenwood. And if that's the case, it must also have a really good view of all the weed that's in that dam at the moment.
All the water hyacinth.
Yeah. Look, I looked at it.
Sandy Lane a bit of a swerve and keep going.
It sticks out though that Sandy Lane is rated 8 on conditioning, and so are the top 3 or 4 courses. So it must be a half decent track.
Yeah, just obviously very well conditioned and very boring because it's Innovation 5, Challenge 5. So it's just up and down of like perfect condition, 9 holes.
Alex, I've been a lot in that area, and I can tell you for free, I've never ever seen Sandy Lane, noticed Sandy Lane, wanted to be near Sandy Lane. I don't think it attracts many people, and I know a lot of Alex are members of Peakenwood, and they've never ever mentioned Sandy Lane in their lives.
It's not a
sorry to knock you, Sandy Lane, but I don't think you need much conversation around it.
It's not a very inspiring name, but I mean it looks pretty. I mean, it doesn't look terrible compared to some of the courses that are in this top 40 list. I mean, it's right on the dam here. You've got a little marina dug into it. Yeah, I don't know. It doesn't look awful. Anyway, we're not going to spend too much time on it. Right, guys, moving swiftly along. Bredasdorp, this is down in sort of also Southern Cape. Apparently used to be the southernmost golf course in Africa, but then it was overtaken by Gansbaai a few years back. Apparently Trevor Immelman used to occasionally play here at Bredasdorp. Number 32, Creel. Guys, I had never ever heard of this golf course before. I don't think most of our listeners would have heard of it. And one of its standout features that is mentioned here in the Golf Digest South Africa is that it's an hour's drive from Benoni. So that's literally one of its attributes in Golf Digest. So if that makes you want to go and play it, then please do. JDV, Swan, you're a Vali. Have you ever ventured out to Creole Golf Club?
But an hour's drive from Benoni is kind of like there's many places an hour's drive from Benoni. But anyway, no, I've never ventured to Creole. I've ventured to Benoni every now and then.
Yeah,
if it's an hour carrying on going.
I thought you would have, as a youngster, you'd have gone to watch the 2001 SA Senior Open that was hosted there.
No, but that's an interesting Google find there, guys. Where is this? This map is...
How on earth...
There's not even an area around it based on your current findings. Oh, there we go.
Those poor buggers, I mean, how on earth they convinced the guys that they had to go play a senior open at a 9-hole golf course, which is an hour's drive from Benoni, is just honestly beyond me.
Tough times.
But JDV, I did actually look at this golf course briefly on Google, and you can obviously see the screen I'm sharing with you. But I had a look around it, and I can see it looks like a pretty decent little layout. You know, they've got some interesting bunkers. They've clearly got pushed up greens and that. But I wanted to get your take on these little water features and what looks like is in front of the closing hole. Now, do you think these were part of the original architect's vision for the course, or do you think this was done by like an overzealous, like power-hungry chairman of the golf course?
I'm trying to think of the one hole. I think it's Ladysmith that's also got these sorts of water hazards, or maybe it was the old Grahamstown track.
Howick.
Is it Howick? Where it's also when it's like a bit of a drought, it's even more of a hazard than if it's water, because it hits the concrete essentially at the bottom, and your ball bounces like OB. So yeah, these shallow concrete ponds, which is the three that we're looking at in front of the hole. I wouldn't say they're my favorite architectural feature. I think not good, and I don't think part of the original design. And if they are part of the original design, well, that's also pretty sick.
So for those who are listening, basically it's like a very normal looking golf course, and then what looks like someone has like copied and pasted in like Microsoft Paint, like 3 little random shallow ponds. Which, I can't imagine that the older members at the golf course were thrilled, because it really takes the ground game out of their hands. But just a really tough feature.
You know, when you go play adventure golf.
Yeah, that's what it looks like.
You go play adventure golf. They're pretty much those concrete man-made hazards.
Yeah, but what's happened?
The ball goes into, and you can get lucky if there's no rain that day before you've played adventure golf, and you can kind of putt it out of there. Otherwise, you're screwed.
It looks like what's happened here, though, is that there's some sort of natural water that runs towards them. You can see that bit of green, and they're trying to stop the green from flooding, I imagine, or something like that. There must be a practical reason.
I would hope so.
It's not pretty.
It's not.
Hey, he's the top 9-hole golf specialist in the 4 of us. So I agree with you there, Ron. I think that's exactly the reason I've done that.
Gotta be practical.
Sorry guys, I didn't think it would take this long to do the first 8 courses. Okay, Hex River Valley, guys. This is out not that far from. This is sort of towards part of the world near Worcester. By all accounts, apparently a very, very beautiful little 9-hole course. So shout out to them. Riversdale. Okay, I'm gonna come back to Riversdale. I'm gonna try and get through down to number 28. But Riversdale, there's a couple of little features on this golf course that I want to show you guys as well. But then rounding out the sort of the top 30. So we got Riversdale 30. We've got Series. Series golf course. Now this is I've actually driven past this course quite a few times on the way up to the Cedarberg. This is a beautiful little course just outside the town of Ceres. I mean, you guys know the sort of the scenery in that area, very, very stunning spots. And then we've got one of the older courses, another old course in South Africa in the small town of Craddock, there in the middle of the Eastern Cape. And that sits right on the Fish River, where they're able to suck as much water as they like to spray onto the course. And I've also driven past this course many times. Sadly, haven't played it, but by all accounts, from my farming friends in the Eastern Cape, it is a well-regarded little 9-hole track. Have you guys played any of those courses that I went through there?
Nope.
I'm assuming it's a no. Right. JDV, just wanted to. This will be the last little architectural thing I do, but I had to take you guys to Riversdale Golf Club. Now, Riversdale, guys, is on the essentially on the N2. So if you're driving from Cape Town through to Knysna, that area, the N2 goes straight through Riversdale. Quite a common stop for a little coffee and a pie. But maybe next time grab your golf clubs and go check out this golf course. It does look like it is quite beautiful up along the sort of the river there, tree lined. Looks quite interesting. JDV, again, I think there may have been sort of a slightly overzealous greenskeeper at some stage who decided to get a bit interesting with some of the bunker design here. I don't know what your thoughts are. I mean, this sort of rectangular. So just for those listening, we're looking at the Riversdale course. I'm guessing this is around the 6th, maybe the 5th hole. And there's a bunker which basically looks like it's about the size of a cricket pitch, maybe 2 cricket pitches. Perfectly rectangular bunker next to a green. On the other side, it has like an hourglass bunker, and then probably just a very average-looking bunker below it. So those were very interesting. And then
there's an athletics club not too far, so they can do long jump into that bunker. That's pretty much what it looks like.
And then the other one I thought that which was great is the old horseshoe bunker, which that probably has a bit more has a bit more geometry to it. It maybe fits in a little bit more with the course. But this, they look like there's some interesting holes. I would imagine there was a greenskeeper at some stage who decided to sort of wave his wand with his tractor and his TLB, and got a bit interesting with some of the bunker shaping there. But by all accounts, it looks like it's quite a beautiful course on the river here. Right, gents. Number 27, we have Kilbachen. This is a course near Newcastle. Again, KZN course, not one that I've ever been to or played. By all accounts, there's got quite a lot of sort of Scottish heritage. Evidently, around Newcastle, there was a lot of sort of Scottish immigrants and stuff that came over, so that's why the name sort of has that very sort of Scottish feel to it. Number 26, Moy River. Again, hand up, having lived in KZN for as long as I have. I have not played Moy River, so Ryan, I'd be interested on your take there. You said I can ask you again at 26. I'm assuming this is one of the courses you've played.
It's my time, T. I have played
your time to shine.
River, so having been a member at Nitzburg basically my whole life, we used to play quite a lot of Midlands League, and we got around most of the 9-holers in KZN Midlands area. It's a pretty good track. It's got some good holes. I think it's lost a lot of its conditioning over the years. I think they struggle for backs, but yeah, it's a nice layout. There's some very interesting holes. Played league there against an old buddy. He's around 80. He really struggled to see. It was back in the day where you had to putt with the flag out, and from about 2 meters out, he'd ask you to hold the flag. And he on the stroke one, on the double stroke, he held his 3-wood from like 200 meters to make it 2. So that's my memory of Moy River. But it's a nice little track.
Wow.
And proceeded to say, "Where'd it go?"
Sure.
It's got some good holes.
Yeah, it looks. I had a look at it. It looks like a fun little track. JDV rounding off here. Swellendam number 25. So Swellendam also again on that road from Cape Town, sort of through to Knysna. It's Swellendam itself is actually quite a beautiful little town. It sits at the bottom of quite a nice sort of mountain range. But the golf course is not something that's ever been on my radar. I haven't gone and looked at it, but evidently you could, next time you're driving from Cape Town through to Knysna, there's 3 or 4 courses probably on this list that you could tick off on that little drive. So maybe that's something to think about doing, JDV, next time you go and visit your beloved Pinnacle Point. And with that, I'm officially handing over to you, JDV, to get us towards the top 20.
Okay, T.
Take it away.
We're going to start. What did you get to there? We're on Skakuza.
Swellendam.
Oh, God. Okay.
Skakuza is where you're starting.
So don't worry about Swellendam. That's at 25.
Exciting top 10, bottom 10 there.
Sorry, it's in Swellendam, Western Cape. Look, I think just quickly, we need to just go back to the ranking criteria. So this is what they've ranked it out of. They do a score out of 60, and they take into account 10 points for the following 6 things. The clubhouse must be an attractive building, open most days of the week, have a welcoming 19th hole and include basic facilities. Aesthetics is the next one. Scenic values of the courses must add to the pleasure of the round. 3, design variety. How varied are the holes in differing lengths, configurations, hazards, and green shapes? So I think which was the course that had the sweet horseshoe hazard and the long jump hazard. I mean, that's I think it must have scored interestingly with design variety.
Sorry, Riversdale.
Innovation, creation of alternative greens, variety of tees from different angles, double pins, different paths for the same holes. Challenge, does the course have length, hazards, rough, tight fairways, and sloping greens? And finally, the condition, the quality of the fairways, tees, bunkers, and greens relative to the club's resources, and 10 points are awarded for each. So interestingly, that the condition relative to the club's resources. So it's not just saying, pump as much resources into your conditioning as possible. It's obviously scored on, how well does your conditioning fare, considering how much budget or resources, and I'm imagining water and sort of natural resources as well that you've got to work with. Okay, so with that all being said, now we're looking at Swellendam, which is in the Western Cape, and number 24, Skakuza. I don't need to say that Skakuza doesn't need too much introduction. I haven't played there, but I think anyone who follows Zaya Golf or any sort of golf course thing on Instagram will have seen Skakuza at least once on sort of a picture of a wild dog or a lion lying on a tee box. And I thought I would just show you guys the little clip that I'm sure you've all seen before, but here it is. Just give me 1 second. And tell me if you can hear this, but if not, it's not the end of the world either. Where's the share button here now? There. Share. Okay, so what I'm going to show you is
podcast listeners.
Sorry. So what I'm going to show you is the clip of this is the clip of the sighting where there was a kill on the green. So what you can see there's a couple of hyenas. and this was the kill that took place on the green. So everyone's sitting there having their triple brandies and Coke. There, the lion just chomping. What is that? What seems to be some sort of buck. You wildlife people can tell me what it is.
A former impala.
I don't think they can.
Yeah, well, it's sort of red inside, if that makes a difference. And then some hyenas coming in to see what's going on. And I think this is the same clip. I won't sort of narrate the whole way through it. So I can't do it justice like David Attenborough would. You know.
Sam on a game drive.
The lions eat the carcass on the green of 18 at Skukuza. The hyenas and patrons watch from a distance. So anyway, that's
with their triple brandies and Coke.
That's Skukuza. So look, I mean, I think we all sort of know Skukuza Golf Club. It's the one that's always, you speak about it and say, this is golf in Africa. For those of us who are actually playing golf in Africa, sort of know it's not the case. I don't think lions are chomping the Egyptian geese on the 18th at Cotswold, but yeah, nice to know that's where it is. Skukuza 24, right? Any of you guys want to talk about Skukuza at all?
I am quite surprised on the conditioning there. When did he play these courses? Last year, I guess, throughout the course of 24, probably. Because they've just put in they're all new bent grass greens, So I'm quite surprised. Maybe they're still quite new. It's a nice track. And they've been scored very low in conditioning at 4.5, which has cut them down the list. But I imagine if they get another 3 or 4 there, they'll be much higher up. It's a good track.
Look, I mean, I've heard it's lekker. Obviously, you have to sign an indemnity when you go play at Skukuza. I think that's part of the appeal. I mean, Skukuza is also the one where the guy got chomped by a crocodile. Who he went in late at night, sort of trying to gather golf balls or something. It was one of those ones. It was either that or Kruger where they got taken by a croc on the course.
Maybe they did the conditioning ranking after that lion kill, and the blood on the green didn't go so well.
It was. I saw photos of that after that kill, and the green was buggered. I mean, everything was running over there and tearing it to pieces, blood and guts all over the place. Okay. Number 20
money well spent.
Number 23 is Lime Acres. Have any of you guys heard of Lime Acres? I doubt it.
No, I just know that Sir Harry Oppenheimer was a member there or something like that.
Look, it is also, I'm not going to go there. There's not too many interesting things to look at, but it is also in the middle of nowhere, Lime Acres, Northern Cape. So it's not even like a town or a little mining town. It's literally just a little mining village. I actually am going to take you there anyway. Let's go. So I'm going to just quickly share. So, sorry. You have to just see exactly where this is because it really is in the middle of nowhere.
Just while that's loading, JDV, I agree with Ryan. I mean, I haven't actually played Skukuza, but I'm a little surprised that it's like 24. Like it's such a it's almost like the iconic sort of nine-holer in South Africa. Maybe just because from all the wildlife content in that, but from all accounts that everyone tells me, it's actually a really, really good little golf course as well. So yeah, I'm a little surprised it's like at least not in the sort of top 15. Okay, take us to Lime Acres.
So Lime Acres, I would say it's probably if you were to draw or try and put a dot on where the middle of South Africa is, this is pretty close to where it would be. It's sort of equidistant between Uppington and Kimberley. And if we zoom in here, I mean, it's close to
Sishen.
Yeah. So I'm just sort of zooming into the middle of nowhere. And yeah, so there's Lime Acres. You can see the mines.
The lime.
And then this is the lime mines. Yeah. It's named after the lime mining that they did.
Do you think, that's where it gets its name from?
I would hope so, Terence, and not just the lime that they pour over all the bodies that they bury there. But yeah, that's the that's the golf course. Like I said, nothing too much to speak about, so I'm not going to go into too much detail, but it is genuinely in the middle of nowhere. So I think another 9-holer, Terence, that you were talking about, that if you get to there, you've done well. I'm not sure how many people are driving from Kimberley to Uppington, but if you do, maybe book 9 holes at Lime Acres. Okay,
Well,
then we're on to Craft and
JDV,
Eat.
last year we were joking about doing a golf tour to Sishan, and about what courses you would maybe combine it with. But I mean, that looks like a legitimate contender, to sync up with a Sishan trip. I mean, it's not that far down the road, and at least you can say you've been there and played it.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, so Terence, I want to hand over to you because surely you can say something about Craft and Eats in the Eastern Cape. Down 10, so obviously having some tough times. But also, again, one of South Africa's oldest clubs, established in 1897. But I think there's a lot of those old clubs in the Eastern Cape, with Royal Port Alfred and Humewood and all of those old courses and the oldest pub at Bathurst, etc. Have any of you guys played Craft and Eats?
So
Nope.
so JDV again,
Sorry,
I haven't played it, but I've driven past it on quite a few occasions, and I do know a couple of people who are actually members there, sort of farmers from the local area. They have a pretty good. I think they actually it's a pretty decent golf course, and they have I think a number of these sort of like Eastern Cape union type amateur competitions, and that if they're ever going to venture sort of outside of East London and Quebec, then they'll venture up to Craft and Eat and play up there. And I believe the sort of club champs and that they have there is quite a festive weekend in Crawfordnet when they host their sort of annual kind of club champs. So by all accounts, it's a good track with a lot of history and a good solid membership. I don't know why it's down so many places. I can't give you any insight to that, but yeah.
So I think let's quickly run through number 21, Groblersdal. Just stop me if you want me to. That's Groblersdal and Popo at 21, new entry. Number 20, Kleinmond. Terence, I don't know if you want to say something about Kleinmond. That's obviously right next to Arabella. So again, one of the ones that we were mentioning, if you want to tack it on to a golf tour, probably not a bad one to do so. I mean, what's that course like?
Yeah, Kleinmont's an awesome little 9-hole. I've probably played this course at least like 10 times. When I was in my university days, one of my sort of university girlfriends at the time had a house in a place called Betty's Bay, which is just down the road from Kleinmont. And the Kleinmont golf course is like kind of tucked into a valley, sort of just north of the town. And it's like just super, super scenic. Surrounded by kind of fynbos. You ride up against the mountain, so you play sort of up into the corners of the mountain of the valley, and just like a fun little country course. Good, well supported because there's quite a bit of sort of holiday type houses and money and that's in the area. So it gets good support. A very nice little clubhouse. I can only say good things about it. Quite interesting little holes as well, like little dog legs and some short ones. Very nice place.
Nice. Well, let me move swiftly along. We've got 19. We've got Springbok, which again in the middle of Namaqualand, probably one of the more difficult ones to get to. Not going to spend too much time on that one. Bankenveld, Witbank, and Mpumalanga, also a new entry. 17 Escort, and this is where I want to stop because this caught my eye. Obviously, it's a KZN course, but when you'd think in this 9-holer, they'd be putting the best foot forward. So when it starts with the entrance road through an industrial estate, doesn't look promising, yet a surprise awaits you in this attractive layout and a beautiful, unspoiled, rolling countryside. So, with that being said, I had to go through and have a look at what the entrance road looked like. And thanks to Street View and Google Earth, we can do just that. Give me 1 second, and I will try and do my David
I've got a bit of
Attenborough.
input here as well, Jacques.
Yeah, please go for it.
Well, let's see the road first.
Okay, so this is it. So as you can see, if you're down here,
That looks familiar.
we're at the crossroads of McFarlane Street, and we're on our way down to Escort Golf Club. So we had a 4-way stop. There's an industrial vehicle here, and you sort of go through a very picturesque, looks like a power station on your left. Then you carry on driving. I mean, it really is. I don't think, I mean, this basically looks like a scrapyard over here on your right.
This is tough. Huh?
No, so I don't think, if I'm honest with you, I think that's actually the prison somewhere there. From what I remember.
Well, that's this. I mean, this is actually a very good-looking industrial property. I mean, that looks like it's recently renovated, and
it's quite new.
Yeah, but then you carry on. This is still genuinely, we're right here. We're probably within spitting distance of the golf course. A couple of JoJo tanks and golf course. There it is.
Yeah, so Jacques, I actually played there quite a lot as a youngster because my folks were born and raised in Escort. So, my grandfather was a member there, and he was actually one of the guys you found. You'll see a little write-up there. They say for more than 60 years it hosted the 36-hole Escort Open.
Yes.
So he was actually one of the guys who introduced the Escort Open initially. And the year that he got the famous Bobby Locke, which we all know, to come and play. So Bobby Locke actually played in the Escort Open.
Wow.
When my grandfather invited him. Yeah, and he actually won it. He won it that same year. So there's been some big winners there. There's been Bobby Locke's won it, and I think David Frost. You remember David Frost?
I remember who he is. I don't remember him personally.
So he's also won that. And it was quite a cool event. They made it a Friday, was more like a social type day where you could play, I think a 4-ball alliance type scenario. And then the Saturday was the main event. And what they would do is they would actually change the pin locations because it was 9 holes on repeat. So they would change the pin locations in the mid-round during your 18. And they would do that quite regularly if you did play morning and afternoon, so you didn't end up with the same pin locations. And then there was another guy, I think his name was Reg Taylor back in the day. It was like SA Amateur Champ, one of the best. And he also came to the Escort Open. So it was known for this Escort Open kind of challenge back then. And some big names won it.
Well, look, I mean...
All I remember, though, was that the clubhouse was the highlight for me because I was young and my grandfather loved sweets. So there would be like an incredible... array of chocolates that I would
sweet job,
by the way, that you follow.
Yeah. So what I was going to say is that once you get through that industrial area and you carry on down Louis Street, it's actually not. It actually looks epic. But I mean, it's a bit of a tough scene getting in there to start with.
Swan,
okay, let's quickly.
Swan, just a quick question. Can you confirm that the winning prize was a packet of pork sausages?
I can confirm that. See? I can.
That's
and
what
the
I
homemade cut chips were also very good. Yeah.
There's when you the Nestle factory is also there's also a Nestle factory in Escort, and there's a very strong smell of coffee when you play that golf course. It's actually unpleasant.
Yeah. Well, not only when you play the golf course, right? When you visit your grandparents as well. It's all over.
Okay, so 16 we've got Fynbos, another Eastern Cape course. T, have you played Fynbos? I mean, again, this is the photo that they've got of Fynbos. Looks pretty sick, to be honest. Tsitsikamma Coast. They've got a picture of the 16th. It actually reminds me of Scottish links on the countryside. It's actually quite incredible. Again, one that I can't understand why it's not sort of. I mean, let me try and explain this to you. So this is like sprawling farmland on the coast. If I look at the picture that they've got, and obviously this is probably the best picture that they have of the place, it looks pretty well conditioned, very generous fairways, good bunkering, a wedding venue. There's 2 nice tennis courts there. But I don't know about you guys, that this looks pretty sweet. I mean, this almost has Highland Gate vibes.
Oh, amazing.
I mean, that's very Highland Gate-ish. They've got the ocean here, and that and the fairways coming down there towards the ocean. So yeah, Fynbos looks pretty epic. I would be quite keen to play there. T, have you played the Eastern Cape course?
I haven't, JDV. It's a bit further down from sort of my neck of the woods in the Eastern Cape. It's sort of more into your kind of territory. It does look beautiful. The only thing I thought I saw on their social media after this, because I actually follow that estate on Facebook, and I saw they put out a post after this ranking was released stating that they've been ranked the 16th best golf course in South Africa, which I thought was a little bit scummy. Like, it's a bit disingenuous, not stating exactly what ranking we're talking about here. They just said like the 16th best in South Africa, which, wasn't a great look for them, but willing to overlook that. Maybe just an overzealous social media manager. But yeah, it does look beautiful, and yeah, again, another place. I don't know what you tack that onto on a golf tour, but another place to pop into at the very least.
Yeah, I think they might have given themselves away if they said 16th best golf course in South Africa, pipping escorts at 17. But obviously they kept that bit quiet.
And they didn't get ahead of Volksrust at 15.
Well, Volksrust at 15, let's go there. So the only thing I want to really point out to you at Volksrust at 15 is how sick the second hole is. If you like the in-course monument, well, I also want to show you the in-course tree that you have to take out. So this is on the second hole.
Oh.
You've got a long par 4 that you have to drive. Now, bearing in mind, again, those guys like me who hit a low tee shot, there's your tee box back there. And gentlemen, and for those who are listening, there is an enormous tree right at the front of the green here. There it is there. I mean, literally blocking the entire fairway. And yeah, I mean, as you can see, it's not a short hole by any stretch. So yeah, the play here, as they've said in this ranking, is you've got to decide whether or not you're going to go around the tree or go over the tree to start with. And yeah, I think it's quite epic to say, you've got to try and figure out off the tee box how you want to take on the sort of the inbounds tree, which is quite a sick thing to have on the course. So that's Volksrust. I'll leave it there. I don't know if you...
Maybe just for people listening, like the tree is apparently it's a redwood tree, so that means it's probably not small. I mean, you can see it's not small on Google Earth, but that's probably only about 70 meters from the tee box, JDV.
Yeah, no, it's right there.
So
it's basically
to get over that thing is not easy. I'm way in on that.
Let's see here that it says that's the second hole, eh? And the second hole is 492 meters, so it's their longest hole on the course as well.
That's so awesome. I just quickly 14th, there was quite a long piece in, I think it was Golf Digest or somewhere, that was written about Swartkorp, which used to be an 18-holer, which they've closed to a 9-holer. It's a Dale Hayes has a big connection to this. In Centurion, it seems like the decision to make it 9 holes hasn't really impacted their membership. I think there's quite a strong membership at this club within Centurion. I mean, you see its clubhouse has got a 9 out of 10, which I think is up there with some of the highest out of all the clubhouses that are on this 9-hole list. And if I recall the article correctly, it's a big training ground for sort of pro golfers and junior golfers. So yeah, Swartkorp is an interesting one that was an 18 and recently has sort of, I wouldn't say downgraded, but has changed to a 9-hole course. but has sort of maintained their membership through other offerings. 13 T, we've got Cathedral Peak. I want to just quickly, Cathedral Peak, for those of you watching, we did do a, what's that one you got up there?
Sorry, JDV. This is the tree. This is the tree on that second hole. I just found
Yes.
a picture of it. I mean, that must be like 30 meters tall. That's
No,
epic.
that's enormous.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's
No,
so
so yeah, that I'm all for in-course trees. What are your guys' views on in-course trees? I mean, you've got the tree on the first at Amdoni. There's a couple of other in-course trees that you play around, and I know that we chatted about South Broom, which has got a tree in the middle of the green on 9. But yeah, just quickly on just wrapping up my last two, Cathedral Peak. We've obviously had a lot on our socials of Cathedral Peak. I'm not going to replay all of the video and stuff that we've got now, but maybe I'll just let it play through while I'm discussing the next one as well. Okay, so
Swanee, you were talking about Reg Taylor. So he was actually the one of the guys who designed Cathedral Peak. So also just sort of down the road from Escorts.
Yeah, he was a phenomenal amateur. Unreal. I think he might have held the record with being, I don't know, as many amateur events as I can't remember. There was some stat behind him. I'll have to double check it. But yeah, he was good.
sorry guys,
I see at the Cathedral Peak.
No rush, Shark. We got all the time in the world.
I see Cathedral Peak is down 9 places, JDV. Is that right? Down 6
Yeah, I
places,
think down 6.
and the clubhouse, it got given a 4.5 for the clubhouse.
It's
So,
hard
yeah,
to
you
argue with
can't,
that tee. The clubhouse looks like it just houses the golf carts, and possibly the flag sticks that don't get put out. But yeah, I mean, if you for those who are watching the video, we have done a video of Cathedral Peak, and I mean, if you look at these images, you wouldn't think that it's, just the middle of a golf 9 holes in the middle of nowhere. It really is an absolutely amazing spots. I mean, with the river running down there, probably some of the most picturesque tee shots that you'll play in South Africa, and I don't think I'm overstating it there. Yeah, basically for the Cathedral Peak hotel, but it really is an absolute stunning setting. But yeah, obviously the golf course is it's sort of been plonked into a pretty epic setting, but maybe not the best conditioned or thought out on some of those holes. I don't know what you guys want to say about that.
No, Cathedral Peak's beautiful. It's all about where you are. It's unbelievably pretty. But yeah, it's not well looked after.
Okay, and my last one, the only thing I wanted to say about Malalan that I didn't say earlier is they're at number 12. Their clubhouse is a 6.5. Now, Swanee, do you remember the clubhouse when we played there? It reminded me of like a government municipal building. And I did manage to find a quick photo of it. This is the Malalan golf course. Which this
Jog my memory, Jacques.
Does that bring back any memories to you? So it's a sort of round structure that goes around. I think that's the 9th hole there. But yeah, I wouldn't say a municipal structure. It actually reminds me of like a Technicon or like some sort of a university. Like that's where
I was just about to say it looks like it looks like a sort of a university type building from Belleville, like the Belleville Technical College.
Yeah.
That's JDV.
It's a bit of a tough concrete structure.
Victoria Country Clubs.
See if you scroll down there. There's quite an epic. You talk about monuments on the course. It's a flat out massive water pipe that runs above the ground through Malalan.
You are absolutely right. I forgot all about that.
Yeah.
when we get to your top 10, Ryan, I'll see if I can search that out, because I completely forgot that there's a massive water
It's
pipe that
terrible.
runs above ground the whole way through. That is a nuts hazard as well. So yeah, T, that's my ones, done and dusted. Anyway, hopefully my
thanks,
exam,
JDV. There was
exam managed to get a pass.
There were some really, really good ones in there. And I have to be honest, and I'm sorry, everyone listening, that we probably taking much longer than we should be to go through the top 49 holes in South Africa. But I think part of enjoyable about reading about all these courses is just looking up places that you've absolutely never heard of and finding a few odd photos and that. So I would encourage you guys to hunt this list down. We'll probably put a link up to it. But yeah, I mean, if you enjoy just wasting hours of your normal kind of workday like Swan does, looking at like random golf courses, then I encourage you to do that while you're listening to this. And now, Ryan, you're going to take us into the top 10, the much anticipated top 10.
Right. First one at number 11 is Tabazimbi, which I had never heard of and have never played. The whole website is in Afrikaans for a place that's called Tabazimbi, which I thought was pretty interesting. But some of the pictures look pretty epic. I must say, golf course looks neat, lots of water, some cool water features. So it looks a good track. I'm not going to harp on it unless you guys want to add there something. Anyone played it?
Negative. It's interesting
Right,
that it's a new. It says it's a new, and it's all the way almost in the top 10. It's quite a bold new entry.
Yeah, well, I noticed that a lot of the courses in the bottom half are down 8, down 10, and I think it's because the top 10 has a lot of new courses. So obviously got around the country a bit more than previously. Number 10, Greytown. Greytown's a good layout. I must say I've played quite a lot of golf there. I was quite surprised to see it in the top 10, to be honest, because it's never been particularly well looked after. And Greytown doesn't really attract a lot of traffic, but it certainly used to. Where it's quite a well-known route between Joburg and Durban before the N3 was around, so it used to get a lot of traffic. But a nice track.
So it's obviously got a lovely clubhouse and a good challenge, because that's
which I find quite interesting, because if I remember the clubhouse correctly, it was more municipal looking than the Malalan one, to be fair. Yeah, I said that upgraded the change rooms or something. But there's also quite a few trees and fairways there.
Is this not a bit of local bias here creeping in from sort of like a competitor to Nutsberg, Ryan?
Potentially.
Or no comments.
I'm kidding. No, it's never been a well conditioned place, but it is a really good layout. There's some good holes. There's a lot of elevation change in the golf course, which is always lekker. Marble Hall is one I also haven't played before. So Marble Hall's at 9 is a new entry, and again looks very cool. It's quite new, eh? It's only built in 2006 as a housing estate, just north of Pretoria towards Polokwane, Middelburg area. But again, looks pretty cool. Don't have the cool videos and pictures that you were sharing. Don't have Google Earth open, but it looks good. But those greens look really good. What is their conditioning? 7.5. Those look like bentgrass greens. Kruger Park Lodge. I played there quite a lot. That's number 8. No change. So they've obviously been rated before. It's a Gary Player layout, which is quite interesting. I didn't know that he had ventured into 9-hole designs. Big man that's stooping low there. But Kruger Park Lodge is nice. It's like it's a bit of a resort course. I don't know if you guys have played there.
Sure, I enjoy a bit of a Gary Player dig every now and then. It's quite like that.
I
Ryan,
think
can I
Stuart
quickly
McLean,
can I
yeah,
while you're there, I just
rates
quickly
and
want to I
design.
just want to
Go for it.
show you your so this is the greens that you're mentioning. So this is Marble Hall. Just while we're there quickly, I mean, that's pretty epic. I mean, if you look at those two photos that they've got on their website, I mean, if those are the greens and that's the conditioning that you're dealing with, and maybe some of the layouts. I mean, that's number 6. That looks pretty epic. I mean, that's rivaling some of the top 18-hole courses in terms of sort of, if I'm just looking at number 6, I mean, that looks like a good golf hole.
Absolutely.
Okay, thanks.
Actually, I think with that in mind, Jacques, I just did want to share something because I put something together quickly on how these guys actually survive and make money. A lot of these 9-holers, they don't have I know it's just a spreadsheet, but if you just look here at the number of members in these top 10 and how low some of these numbers are, and if you look at the annual income that these guys would be getting from subs, they're working with really small budgets. So when you see a picture like that and you consider the cost of running a golf course and the income they get just from subs, it's actually really incredible. It's only really Metropolitan that's got any sort of big cash coming in. So it's really interesting.
So just for our listeners, what Ryan is showing us is a spreadsheet basically of the top 11 courses, with how many members they have and essentially what their income is, what their subs income is from their membership rates. And in your calcs, there's only 4 courses which are getting more than R1 million a year just purely from membership subs. That obviously excludes green fees and that. Which would be the top 4 courses. So a place like Marble Hall, you're only talking about sort of 500,000 rand from subs, and they're maintaining quite a high standard there. So yeah, it is quite incredible that they look. It's you never know really, I guess, how else these places are being subsidized, particularly in the sort of mining towns where invariably a lot of these golf courses, these 9-holers, it's not something really spoken about, but yeah, the reason why we aren't inside a lot of the cities and that is a lot of these 9-holers are the function of either like some sort of agricultural area or a mine, essentially. That's the origin of most of them. And then you got this smattering of a few, which are sort of these sort of newish housing type estates, maybe a bit like that Fynbos one, Jacques, but large part of these are all just reliant on that kind of agricultural mining sort of sector.
And just a quick shout out, because I think that's the Excel spreadsheet that we've ever gone through on the Goat Track.
Yeah, that's definitely the first. That's definitely the first screen share of a spreadsheet. So yeah, I think that definitely deserves a toast.
So it's funny, when you are sitting in your workday scrolling through random 9-hole golf courses, if you have a spreadsheet open on the side, it looks like you're working.
Guys, I thoroughly enjoyed that spreadsheet, and I know you're going to open it up again in 2 or 3 more courses time.
I saw one particular number and I was like, I know where this one's going.
I'll reference it. But Greytown is very much like that, just because I know it. It's got a lot of agricultural businesses in the area, and it's very community driven, the upkeep of these golf courses. And you can't run a golf course with that kind of money, man. Okay, moving along to number 7. I thought this was quite a cheeky one. I know he mentions it because Boschemere is very much part of a 27-hole layout at the old Paul golf course. So interesting that they've selected a 9 to be to be rated here. But having played quite a lot of golf in the Western Cape, Boschenmere Pole Golf Club, as it's known, is a really, really nice layout. I used to host quite a lot of events down there, so there's some very good holes.
Ryan, that's a good point you make. I mean, what do you think about? I mean, surely then like Hermanus should also have like 9 holes, or Serengeti should be in here. I mean, I'm thinking about those sort of bigger golf complexes where you're saying, okay, well, just put that 9 hole in the 9 hole ranking so that we're in both. It's a good thing you've picked up. Why does Boschenmere, get the benefit of 9 of their holes from the 27 holes? Gets to be part of this.
Yeah, it's an odd one, to be honest, because even the wording here qualifies as a separate 9-holer, in that its design is distinctly different from the old golf course. So obviously Paul used to be an 18-hole track, and then they added these 9 there to make it into 27. But that seems like an odd justification. But it is a good track. It's a really good golf course.
I think we should lodge a complaint.
T, have you got one of those drum roll sound clips there that you can just?
Yeah, I was going to say this whole thing has been a Trojan horse for the Newtsburg review podcast.
You should have asked.
Not that one.
There it is.
There we go.
That's the joke drum roll. Yeah.
Okay.
And now.
There it is. At number 6 is Newtsburg.
Pull the
Got
spreadsheet
back, Swanee. Give you a spreadsheet back.
Absolutely, it's got massive relevance to Newtsburg, and
it is relevant. It is relevant.
I think can we just preface this monologue that you and Swan are about to go on with maybe just some info for our listeners. So, as Ryan said, at number 6 is a place called Newtsburg. Newtsburg is a 9-hole course which probably sits about 1 hour inland from Ballito, if you could sort of picture that.
Not Benoni.
Probably equidistant from Ballito to sort of Pietermaritzburg. It's sort of up in the sort of the heartland of the sort of sugarcane growing area. Kind of sort of semi-attached to a sugar mill. It is worth noting that both Ryan and Swan are members of Newtsburg, and possibly wanted to be involved on this pod entirely just to talk about this next segment. So just arm yourself, just arming our listeners with that information, and then I'll hand it back over to you guys.
Also, I love that Newtsburg putting their best foot forward is not like showing the signature hole. It's opening up a spreadsheet to look at the subs.
It doesn't require that. It's got a centerfold photo in the article.
Centerfold, sure.
Let's see.
Yeah.
Remember that
who
one.
Needs the FHM models when you can have a centerfold of Newtsburg.
There it is. Can you see that?
Take us away, Ryan.
So it is pretty much in the middle of this thing is now lagging a bit. Struggling to zoom in. Anyway, you're quite right, T. It is dead in the middle of KZN, between the coast and Maritzburg, sort of. But yeah, very, very small little farming community course with just 90 members, and it's very, very much community run. But I think this, it was never in good shape, this golf course. So it was really in about 2006 or 2008 when all the greens were dug up. This thing is not working for me. It's not loading there, so I'll just stop that.
Okay, I'll share it, Ryan. You carry on talking. I'll share Newtsburg.
When all the greens were dug up, I think that sort of changed everything from a conditioning point of view, because it really wasn't it wasn't playable for a very long time. I wouldn't say playable, that may be a bit harsh, but it really changed the game to get those new greens in about 15 years ago, like I said, 15, 20 years ago. And now it's got really, really good greens. And the layout's always been pretty solid. So that hole there, Jacques, that you're busy zooming in on around that dam. So the 7th hole plays sort of from the bottom of the dam wall all the way towards the end and plays a long dogleg par 5 around the water. And then when you come onto the back 9, you play it as the 16th and you tee off on the dam wall. But that little island there has got a bit of a story to it. There was a club manager there that thought he'd build a green here. So that was an attempt at a green. That was then forfeited because of sheer resistance from the members.
Oh wow, I didn't know that.
So Jacques, if you go into the 9th hole towards the clubhouse, there's also good. There's a couple of trees in the fairway. This one's particularly good though. Yeah, that's the 9th hole there, a bit higher up towards the green. Yeah, the shadows are a bit confusing. Yeah, there it is there. Yeah, so it's quite narrow between that tree and the pine bush on the left there.
Yeah.
Right, we won't belabor the point. Swanee, anything to add there as a member?
Yeah, just for me, Drakensberg, I mean, obviously joining there as a member, when was it? Beginning of last year. Before that, I wasn't a member there. But I just think what's quite remarkable about it, not to blow too much smoke, is that, like Ryan said, it's community driven. There's a man who's a barman / greenkeeper / GM / you name it, and kind of does everything to keep that club running. And if you look at that and you see what he could do from a conditioning perspective, I mean, what does it get you? 7 for conditioning. It's quite remarkable. At the same time, he's making you one of the biggest meals you're ever going to eat. He's got his wife in the kitchen. So there's a lot of stuff that goes on there. And then the community obviously assists massively with ensuring that the greens and the upkeep and everything is kept to top notch. When you do go play club champs there, the quality is phenomenal. So it is worth it, in my opinion, out of the 9 holes that I have played. As you know, I haven't played many on this list, but it's definitely worth it all. Swing by on your way.
On your way where?
Right.
To Maritzburg, Jacques, to go visit your parents.
Okay. I'm just checking.
So I've just got two things to add to about Nutsberg. So this is probably the course that I've probably played the most of all the courses in this list, this top 40, with my in-laws having formerly lived not that far down the road. And I actually chatted briefly with my father-in-law. I sent him this list of the rankings or whatever, and he was telling me the story about how they actually built that golf course, which was essentially that. And I wouldn't be able to tell you exactly what the year was. I mean, I don't know, Ryan. Maybe you would have
68 or so, late 60s.
Yeah,
early 70s.
Exactly. So he said he remembers when they built it. Essentially, all the farmers in the area were asked to chip in, and basically each one or a group of farmers they each built a different hole. So I don't think they certainly weren't designing the holes. I'm sure there was someone overseeing that, but yeah, he said it was a very, very cool kind of almost like community project where it almost became competitive, where guys were trying to finish their hole, beat the guys next to them, sort of thing. And he said it was had some good stories around how the community kind of came together to basically sort of build the golf course almost on kind of a volunteer basis. So it's a really cool little story of a farming community, and that club, and has got a lot of history when it comes to polo and sort of all sorts of other sports in that. So it's a very cool little story, and it's awesome to see it kind of in the top 10, because it is. I mean, I've had a lot of fun playing there. So happy days. Happy to see it there.
just to go back to the reason why I said the spreadsheet's relevant, we didn't actually end up touching on it, but the financial value there, what was it, Ryan? Remember,
It's about 250 grand, eh?
250K.
So put that spreadsheet up again, because it speaks to the Metropolitan when we get there. Because, yeah, I mean, if you look at number 3 and only 3 places below, which is Nutsburg, I mean, essentially you're dealing with, a 300,000 Rand versus a 5.2 million Rand budget. And if you look at the actual end score, you're sitting there with a score of 45.5 out of 60 versus a 49 out of 60. So, I mean, Nutsburg with what they're doing with what they have is actually pretty incredible.
Yeah, Jacques, I mean, to put it into a complete picture, that like a total income for the year at the club, including bar takings and everything, is just about R1 million. And so you're employing 5 people on the golf course and probably 3 in the club as barman and kitchen staff. And that's pretty much your $1 million gone for the year. Eh? That's before you've put diesel in a tractor or fertilizer on the fairways or anything like that. So, yeah. But moving along, number 5, Cullinan, which actually looks really cool. And you mentioned earlier, had these rankings been done before? But it's saying here, as early as 1954, it was recorded as the best 9-hole layout in the country. So someone in 1954 ranked the 9-holers, and Cullinan was number 1 there. So they're 5 down over the last 70 years, which is very unfortunate for them. But it looks a good track in Pretoria. Never played it.
Cool.
That's it. Number 4, Moinoi. I think Moinoi.
Big mining, Cullinan's big mining area. So yeah, I'd imagine they've been the diamonds have been supporting the green fees at that course for a long time.
Well, I was going to say it's a relatively common thread, yeah. If you look at all the courses, they're all kind of centralized and focused around mining towns and areas and dotted around them, where these rich miners have come along and decided to create these little 9-hole golf courses while they're bored.
Yeah. Were you getting wine when Terence said that earlier?
Oh, did he say that earlier? Apologies. During that between course 40 and 30, I might have fallen asleep at least 6 times. Guys, I don't know if you want me to jump in quickly on Moinoi, unless you have something to say there.
I do have quite a lot to say, so let me just give it an intro and then I'll go over to you.
You go.
Firstly, it's a beautiful golf course. I'm pretty sure this was once the number 1 9-hole in the country. It says down 1, but I reckon it would have been. But just an interesting fact here, it's hosted a Sunshine Tour event 13 years in a row, between 1998 to 2013. And it's got a pretty impressive list of winners, eh? Louis Oosthuizen won there in 2007. Thomas Aiken, Darren Fischer, John Hugo, Henny Otto, Jake Ruiz, Neil Skiddercat. So pretty impressive for a 9-holer to host that many professional golf events.
Yeah, it's 100%. I think 96 too. So I caddied there a few times. It was quite interesting because it was obviously on the Sunshine Tour schedule. So when I was caddying for my mate, I think it's the only 9-hole golf course to hold a 54-hole tour Sunshine Tour event. I think that's kind of the stat for Moinoi. But once again, going back to the point around the miners and all the rest of it, that's a similar reason why I'd imagine that course got so much attention on the Sunshine Tour. The sponsorship was high. I do recall very, very, very clearly when we caddied and the caddies used to all have a laugh amongst themselves, as well as the players, that it was one of the most boring kind of events of the Sunshine Tour, because I don't know if any of you have played Moinoi, but it's very repetitive. So you're going around and around the same kind of holes and different tees many, many times to finish your 54-hole tour event on the Sunshine Tour. For most pros, it becomes slightly boring.
Well, Sonny, you're a lot
That's 54.
stricter than Stuart McLean, who's rated this because it's got the second highest design variety out of all courses. Yeah.
No, well, I'm telling you now, the Oaks find it heavily boring. But then again, the conditioning was phenomenal. Every single time I remember being there, it was just like you could see the Oaks had just pumped cash into this thing and made it look really, really good.
Yeah, but it is an impressive little golf course. And worth the drive, to be honest with you. If you do go to Sun City, it's about an hour from Sun City. It's on the
really
way. Cool.
Yeah. Yes, T.
Swanee, out of interest, like would they change the pin locations between the two nines, like on a certain day, or would you literally just be playing the same course?
No, they changed them,
different tee boxes.
No, they did change the pin placements, yeah. So that is what they did after each 18. Yeah. But it was very
just on that subject, like how many 9-hole courses have you guys played where instead of where they basically have two flags on a green instead of just having like a different tee box, you actually play to a different pin location as well? I mean, most of them try and do it by using different tee boxes. Some of them will have a couple of extra greens. So like at Newtsburg, I think I can't remember, is it the third or the fourth hole, the par 3, you play to a different green on the third hole. And then what that means is you end up playing the fourth hole from like a 90-degree angle. It's completely different. So at least it feels a little bit different. But have you guys played any courses where they actually have two flags?
So Metropolitan is a good precursor to number 3. It's very much like that tee. I think there might have been one or two more, but Metropolitan certainly, even when they were regarded an 18-hole course, I think they had 14 or 15 greens, if I remember correctly. There they had split pins. But I think if you look at all the 9-holers that we're referring to as agricultural towns or mining towns, the greens are typically very small. So it often doesn't make sense. Whereas some of the more, if I can call them championship layouts or whatever you might want to call them, the more specific golf layouts have a lot of that. And Metropolitan was like that. And I think they still are. I've never actually played Metropolitan now that it's a proper 9-holer. But certainly played it before the change.
No, you raise a good point there, Ryan, because I mean, let's be honest, JDV, we actually just glad if the course has flags, on some of these 9-holers. Shout out.
Well, I think you need. I was about to say, I think you need to look at the bottom courses there, and I mean, you can tell the pedigree by the type of flags that they have, and I mean, you can see we've moved up in the world from, the broomsticks and PVC pipes that they've got in the holes at Cathedral Peak to these courses that we're dealing with in the top 5 are legit, proper plastic or wooden flags. Yeah.
Okay, take us home, boys. Yes.
Number 3, Metropolitan. I think we've spoken a little bit about that, but they lost a fair chunk of their land when the Cape Town Stadium was built for the World Cup. From what I heard at the time, they got quite a good cash injection because of this development of the stadium here, which helped them do a lot of stuff, particularly on the clubhouse and redoing a lot of the greens. It's a very cool course. It's got some good holes. It's in really good shape.
I see their clubhouse is at 9 out of 10, Ryan. So I mean, it's proper clubhouse at the moment. So I haven't, obviously, likewise, haven't played there. But as you said, if they've pumped some of that money into the clubhouse, you can see there they've holoturned the greens. But obviously,
just for the video,
pumped that money in.
So I've played I've played at Metropolitan quite a bit, and it's really, really cool. Like it's exactly the sort of like, I don't know, it just feels like a fun place to go and play golf, like at the end of a work day, or like it's so close to like the city, and the layout is really good as well. There's lots of like different holes, and then as you touched on, Ryan, they've got quite a few different greens for some of the holes, and different flags and that. And it's the location is awesome. It's a really, really fun spot to go play. So yeah, can only say good things about it.
100%. Last two. So Boschok down one, so the previous number one. Number two obviously went through an extensive revamp. I don't know how long ago that was, Probably 10 years ago, maybe a bit less.
Yeah, it was about 10 years, yeah.
Yeah, but a beautiful layout in the Midlands, lots of water, some really good holes as well. Jacques, I know you wanted to add a bit here.
Yeah, I think maybe just to say, Boschok, from our experience, it's obviously an easy one to access in the Midlands. If you want to make a golf tour, I think if you said VCC, Boschok, Gowrie, it makes a really good golf tour. I think the right in between VCC and Gowrie, and a proper lekker little layout, beautifully conditioned, a nice practice range facility, nice accommodation if you want to sort of stay around there. And the clubhouse, I have to just say, is so epic. It's like staying at a sort of guest lodge. You go in there, it just feels very welcoming and homely. Boschok is a lot older than I thought it was. And again, Ryan, to go to your point about the revamp and putting it on the map and getting the membership. Growing up, I didn't really think of Boschok until sort of the 2000 and I don't know, I'd say like 2010, 2011 would be when I sort of started realizing about Boschok right on our doorstep. But before that, it was there, but never really talked about. But yeah, I've beautiful greens. Only good things to say about Boschok. I really like it. I know Hoff, who's also part of the GT, the Goat Track, he hates Boschok, or maybe not hates a strong word, but he doesn't really like it that much. But I think it's a great course.
Yeah, it's. I must just add there that from a hosting perspective as well, anybody who's ever played there, they just get quite blown away by the fact that it's when you do finish your round, the guys come out with wooden boards of cut up steak that they've just cut as a freebie for everyone, and they just host you so well. Welcome drinks. There's always like sherry and OBs hanging around in the mornings when it's cold. They really do put on a good show, and it does attract a lot of people to go back there. I know they have the SA Rugby Legends there almost every year. So yeah, it's a phenomenal place to go if you haven't been there before.
Yeah, it was actually a bit out of place before they had the revamp. It was this beautiful clubhouse and really, really unreal setting, and then it was somewhat of an average golf course because they had really average greens, and I think that little redesign and facelift changed this place. It's really cool. Sorry, T.
It's worth noting that it's as far as I remember, it's the only course in this 9-hole course that's actually rated in the SA Top 100. So that's worth noting. And I see, interestingly enough, JDV, it's scored quite low on innovation. And it pretty much beats the number one course, beats or equals the number one course in all the other categories. And it's only behind by 1 point. So, yeah, I mean, and I reading under innovation, they talk about basically mixing up the holes so that, you're playing holes from different angles, different tee boxes and that. So be interesting to see if there's anything that they do along that. I do remember, Swan, you talking about playing the Sunshine Tour at Moinoi. I once did a 36-hole day at Boschok. And Yeah, as lovely as the club and all of that is, yeah, after 36 holes, it's a pretty long day, because there isn't a massive variety at Boschuk. So, well, there's a good variety, but when you go around the second or third time, it's a little bit of Groundhog Day. But yeah, it's a beautiful spot, and yeah, there's one or two holes there which are really, really world class. Really like it.
Well, you see,
Take us home.
The thing with Boschuk, is that there was always this big thing where people used to say Boschuk or Gari, and that big, which is the better of the two. And that exactly what you've just mentioned. What's always trumped made Gari better for me, because it trumped Boschuk in all regards because of the variety and the innovation. You would play Gari, and the innovation off the box and all that was so different to Boschuk. Kambaku.
Kambaku is an incredible place. I've played there on a bit of a whim. We went to play Leopard Creek. It's about 40 minutes out from Leopard Creek on the Crocodile River, and it's an unreal little track. We got there at about 1 in the afternoon, and so we go into the pro shop and we pay, like, do you have any spotters or caddies around just to help us around the layout? Because it's quite dense bush in places. And they're like, they were having a corporate day, and they've got no staff. We're halfway down the first, and this oak comes running out in his chef outfit there, straight out of the kitchen. He struggled with his English. And the first hole it's a huge 2-tier green. It's a massive elevation change in the green. And one guy in our group was putting right across the slope, and this, I reckons, your right edge. It must have been, the more right you went, the more it was going to turn. It was turning at least 2 meters off about a 40-foot putt. So, so it's still got that, despite it being like quite an epic place, it's still got that very, raw feel to it, which sort of adds to its charm.
Yeah, I think we've definitely got to incorporate this into a Leopard Creek second course in the area.
Yeah, and just if you look at that clubhouse, Shark, in that picture there, so it's a deck right on the Crocodile River. It's a really unreal setting. In fact, you're sitting out here, you're actually looking onto the Crocodile River. You're sitting at Leopard Creek, you're looking onto the golf course. Yeah, you've got a bit of both, and there's always good wildlife out there. So I was very surprised that this clubhouse was rated as an 8 against Boschuk as a 9, Metropolitan 9.5. So I thought quite harsh there, because even the facilities inside the change rooms are quite nice. The pro shops is decent, so it's quite a harsh rating there, I thought, but it's a really cool place. And I think one of the cool stories about here, I think Rupert has funded quite a lot of their makeover over the years, and used it as a bit of an experiment from a type of grass point of view. So it was not long after Kambaku redid all of their greens and sort of started getting some momentum that Leopard Creek dug up all of their bent greens and essentially planted the same Synoden greens. Or Leopard Creek went Synoden T2 green. So, yeah.
So
cool
you're
place.
saying that Leopard Creek's fairways are as good as Kambaku's greens?
What I'm saying is that it's all the same grass, but probably not far off. Yeah. But their greens are really good, though. Kambaku's greens are really, really good. And they've got lots of water, right, being right on the river, so.
Like experiment.
But that picture you're sharing, that's a new hole that when I probably played 6 or 7 years ago. That hole wasn't there. It's sort of that island green. I don't know if you've still got it there.
It's pretty sick that Rupert's little experiment is the number one 9-holer. In SA. Okay. Thank you, Ryan, for walking us through there and for relaying some of your experience there, because there were a number of courses there that certainly were not on any of our radars. Gents, that was an absolute marathon, but it was thoroughly enjoyable. I enjoyed sitting on Google Earth, following and typing in some of these random places. I hope for everyone who's made it to the end of this podcast that you enjoyed it as well. It was quite a journey. But maybe I'll just chuck it around the room for parting thoughts. Maybe start off with you, Ryan. Anything to add from what we've covered?
Yeah, I think it's pretty cool that the nine holders are getting some airtime in South African golf media. There's some really cool tracks out there that are worth a visit to slap onto an end of a golf tour or beginning of a golf tour. So, yeah, it's cool to give them some airtime.
Swanee?
Yeah, T, I still think we need to put this together. I think we need to put together a little 4-ball here maybe, and we need to try and tackle these 9-holers over a period. That's my take out of this, because I didn't know a lot of these, and I thoroughly enjoyed your Google imagery there. It definitely enticed me. So I was quite keen for that. And next time, please, can I be on a podcast that's less than 2 hours? It seems to be my kind of... You guys enjoy pushing me. Just teasing, it was awesome.
There's a golden thread here, Swanee.
Yeah, I can see
golden thread. I agree with that. JDV, how often is this? Do they do this ranking, or is it just like whenever they decide they need to fill up some pages?
So I think it's annually. I know they used to do it every 2 years, but I think it's annually. But can I just throw out one last question? I mean, I imagine another 5 minutes ain't going to kill us, and if we split it into two, it'll make 2 nice hour-long pods. From what you've heard today and from what we've looked at, if we just sort of go around the room, 2 courses that we've discussed today that you would sort of seek out if you were in the area, what would they be? I mean, I'll start it off while you guys give it some thought. For me, Fynbos, Tsitsikamma Coast. I don't know if I'm getting catfished by their photos, but it just looks super cool. Like I said, it's got sort of Pinnacle Point, Highland Gate vibes. So that was one. And I have to say, Kambaku, wasn't familiar with their work, but having had a look at some of those photos, I mean, I know that's the easy way out to pick the number one and the sort of pretty stunning coastal course. I'm hoping you guys are going to take it in a different direction, but those are my 2. T, I don't know what you would say.
Sure. So many different ways I could go with this, JDV. I would love to go and check out Pilgrim's Rest. In fact, my goal is to send you guys a photo from that pub, in maybe tucked into one of those little red leather chairs.
Sitting on a red chair.
Yeah. So yeah, that piqued my interest. Look, that Black Mountain course looks kind of wild, but I just don't know if I'm ever going to be in that area just to pop in there. JDV, the other one I would say is probably, honestly, is Escort. Like from Swanee's stories and from your awesome like Google Street View drive through. Genuinely, I'm very interested to go and play at Escort, because it's obviously a really good track, and probably a bit overlooked, like maybe based on what's happened in the last 10 or 20 years in small towns in KZN. But yeah, so that's one a bit closer to home that I'd like to check out. And then I haven't played either of the 2 like wildlife ones like Kambaku or Skukuza. So those 2 obviously are on the list as well.
You only got to choose 2, T. You chose about 6 there.
What are you going with, Swan?
I chose 4.
I'll come play with you at Escort again. I haven't played there in ages. But I think there's enough in like kind of a stone throw away that we could all play at. To be honest, being based in KZN. But yeah, I'd love to go to Skukuza. I think I'd like to sign that indemnity form and see what happens. Kumbaka, I think, is a no-brainer. And then I want to go with UT into one of those lime oil mining areas where we can kind of feel like we're on an oasis. That would be my kind of take.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
I'll throw in Black Mountain in the corner of the country in the desert there. That contrast looked pretty cool. I just don't know if I'm going to go all the way there just to play that golf course. And it's not like you pass through that area, but that one looks pretty interesting. And then
on the way to Noordsburg.
Yeah. Just take your passport in case you need to go to Namibia on the way. So that one for sure. And then I also think Pilgrim's Rest also looks quaint and interesting. So I think those are my two. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, guys, thank you. We're gonna wrap it in here. We're gonna get in just under 2 hours. JDV, we're racing the gun here. But thank you, Ryan. Thank you, Swanee. Thank you, JDV. Thank you, everyone, for listening. I hope you enjoyed this. I'm sure it'll take you a couple of days, most of you, to get through this particular podcast. But I do hope you go and check out some of the visuals on YouTube. And with that, let the boys in. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Steve.